Autism myths. So today we're going to be looking at some myths with...
Okay, so my name is Yogatistic.
It's for the sun. Okay, so I have a myth for you to bust. All autistic people are geniuses.
Well, I can personally attest to the fact that that's not true. You know, some of us have special interests, right? And that's something where we really hyper-focus on it. We look into something, whether it be trains, dinosaurs, type of weather that they have in the Sahara in every, December time. I don't know where I'm going with that. Those special interests, we can accumulate huge amounts of knowledge on that particular subject. It may seem to neurotypical people that when we talk about that particular subject, this is like expertise from having a higher IQ, right? But actually it's just accumulated knowledge. Now, it might be the case that, any given person in this situation who's autistic has a high IQ, but my understanding is there's no variance in population from IQ from neurotypical people to autistic people. So it's just the case that it's because it's their special interest. They've accumulated huge amounts of data from spending the time to do it. And I think it's often come as well from films, what's his name? Sheldon from, the Big Bang Theory. I mean,
Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes was it? I don't know. There's been so many things put out there by the media. Yeah, but we have these special interests that make us seem clever sometimes. I presume you're going to cut some of this now.
I can cut. All this stuff I'll cut out.
All the blah 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 stuff. Me going blah blah blah. So, what's your name on YouTube or like? Yeah, so I'm really interested to hear you talk about the level 1 people who are diagnosed with level 1 autism and the myths that surround that, especially the myths around your autism therefore being mild because it's level 1.
Mild autism. Oh my god. Okay, so the myth of high functioning or level 1 autism being mild. Yeah, so this is a myth. It is mild for the people around us. It is not mild for us. The word mild should not even be used medically when it comes to this type of autism. But people have it in their head that it's a progressive level of 1, 2, and 3. But in reality, this is just how it presents. Level 1 presents as a mild autism for the people around us. So this is a huge misconception. I have a full video on this. It's about time we leave this myth behind. It's very invalidating to hear that your autism's mild because it's more socially bearable. Okay, so I hear this myth a lot. Autism can be cured. You can cure your autism if you just have enough ice baths, watch Joe Rogan every day.
Well, I can't cure my autism by just watching Joe Rogan. Oh man. See, I just thought I needed to accumulate more and more knowledge and therefore I could just beat this disability. But that sucks. You're just telling me this for the first time. Now, on a serious note, this is a very, very destructive myth. Actually, this can cause us a lot of problems because autism is a neurodevelopmental disorder. Okay, and in the United Kingdom, where we are, it's also a disability. And to basically even insinuate that you can somehow cure autism can cause us a lot of problems because it really just invalidates the seriousness of the problem, I feel, because there's no evidence that you can cure autism. This is something we have for life. The insinuation that autism can be cured really comes, I would say, from the perspective of looking at other issues that people might have. So, for example, people with severe depression or other things that really impact upon people's lives, and thinking, well, we could do all these things for those people. Why is this different? And hopefully I've just explained why, because my fundamental operating system is different. Yeah, so there's another big myth. Autism apparently is now an epidemic. What do you think? Deep breaths, everyone.
Get your masks, everyone. There's a new virus. Okay. So, there has been an increase in diagnosed autistic people, and there's many reasons for this. So the first reason why autism gets talked about as an epidemic is because of the increase in diagnosis. So a lot of people who wouldn't have been diagnosed 50 years ago are being diagnosed. Undiagnosed autistic people back in the day did exist, but they were locked up. England used to have hundreds of asylums all over the country where people like us were locked up because we couldn't function in society. We were given electric shocks. We were permanently locked up. We were given lobotomies. So no, autism hasn't just sprung out of nowhere. We just have a word for it now, and we're only just starting to tolerate it as a society. My granddad was probably autistic, and he suffered his whole life trying to fit the mold of a normal man born in the 1920s. So we're just finally getting the rightful recognition. We don't have hundreds of asylums anymore. We now have care workers, therapy, medication, community. So we haven't just sprung up out of nowhere. We are just recognized, and you can actually get diagnosed now. Also, society is a lot worse for autistic people. So more people know they're autistic now. 100 years ago, if you lived in a small area with like a small community, small localized power, you might not have realized you were autistic because you might not have suffered. But now, because of the pace of society, the sensory nightmare, a lot more of us realize we are autistic. Because of the society we live in, a diagnosis is essential. So no, autism is not an epidemic. It's just finally being recognized. It's been underdiagnosed for so long that it's finally being corrected. Here's a myth for you. Autistic people are antisocial.
I'm just kidding. You're a good friend of mine. And I have other friends. And I really like...
No way you have friends.
I have friends.
Thought you hate people? Thought you were a sociopath?
I'm going to have to dispel the myth to you, I'm afraid. I have lots of friends. It's a big part of my life, is connecting to my fellow human beings. And lots of autistic people feel the same. I feel like one of the reasons why this myth is out there, to step back a little bit, I'm just going to think about it from the neurotypical person's perspective. They see some autistic people who have these special interests, like for example they're really into dinosaurs or trains or something like this, and they spend a lot of time focusing on their special interests, and maybe they don't leave the house that much, and maybe when they do, they often want to talk about their special interests to you, and they don't necessarily ask the neurotypical person that many questions. Yeah, I understand it from the neurotypical person's perspective, that when you see somebody like this, you might think, well, they aren't really that interested in other people. They want to kind of just focus on themselves and their thing. But actually, it's very, very difficult for the autistic person to socialize, because most autistic people are surrounded by mostly neurotypical people. It's harder to form those relationships for the autistic person and to maintain them, so that it can be very, very stressful. They withdraw, they just focus on their special interests to try and calm down. They maybe give themselves the basic functions in life. In my experience since diagnosis, I feel like most autistic people actually feel the same. We want to form those bonds. We can struggle to do that. We need other human beings. We want to be around other human beings. We just need those to be not stressful relationships. We need those to have a net benefit rather than cause us anxiety, stress.
Yeah, I think socializing differently doesn't necessarily mean we're antisocial. It just means that we're just misunderstood socially. So a lot of these myths come from pretty intense generalizations and stereotypes, and I think it's easy to forget that autism is a spectrum disorder. For every antisocial autistic person, there's a hypersocial autistic person. For every genius autistic person, there are normal autistic people, because autistic people are people. We have spiky skill sets, so certain attributes are enhanced. certain attributes are muted. So, although a lot of these stereotypes and myths don't come from a malicious place, some of them do, but a lot of them just come from a misunderstanding. Thank you for watching. Make sure you don't reinforce these myths and stereotypes. This was a lot of fun to make. Thank you so much. Please leave a comment about any myths that you've had to deal with. If anyone's ever assumed something ridiculous, just drop a comment and we might make a part 2.